Welcome to our Together on Mission podcast, brought to you by the Baptist Union of Victoria and hosted by our Director of Mission and Ministries, Rev Daniel Bullock. Daniel will be joined by a guest from our Victorian Baptist family each week for a brief discussion that aims to encourage you in your personal walk of faith and give you some practical suggestions that you can implement through your week. Throughout this year, the podcast will be focusing on the theme of being and sharing the good news.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's podcast. Today we're going to continue our Advent series as we count down towards Christmas. In this series, I've asked a member of our BUV Support Hub leadership team to be my guest each week to reflect on the traditional themes of Advent: hope, peace, joy, and love. Today, I will be reflecting on love, and my guest today is Rev Jonathan Stark. Jonathan, can you tell us a bit about your role at the BUV Support Hub?
Yeah, Daniel, hi, and hi to all your listeners. I'm the head of Pastoral Leadership Support and Development. I lead a team of experienced people who support and develop pastoral leaders. And Daniel, you know that the BUV Support Hub has a 50-year vision to have 500 flourishing churches, and we feel like our team has a very important part to play in helping us move towards this vision by coming alongside the people who have such a significant impact on flourishing churches, and that's pastors. I've been a pastor for more than 25 years, and I've seen firsthand how a pastor who loves Jesus, who preaches and teaches with passion, who listens, loves and cares for the people, and helps the church reach out, share the good news, can make such a difference towards a church's flourishing. So we kind of come alongside pastors, a bit like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker. You know, we want to help them to help their churches flourish. Yep. And it's so good to do that. We've got a great team, and each of us just love coming alongside to help them.
Fantastic. And so as a pastor, you would know this is a pretty busy time of the year for pastors as they lead up towards Christmas, and we've got the Advent season. Tell us what you love most about Advent and the Christmas season.
Well, Daniel, I love the excitement. The lights coming up in the streets, the carols, the getting the Christmas tree ready, the gifts that go under the tree, all that anticipation. I genuinely get a bit excited about it. But more than anything, it's being with with my family and being with the church family on Christmas Day, celebrating Jesus coming to earth. I think Emmanuel, God with us, that just never ceases to amaze me, and I'm in awe and wonder of it, and I love it on Christmas Day. Fantastic. With everyone celebrating that. Well, thanks, Jono. I'm looking forward to your input in just a moment. The theme of our final reflection for Advent this year is, of course, love. Love is the culmination of the Advent season, but what do we mean when we talk about love? In particular, how is God's love different to other love or the world's love? Well, let me say firstly, love is more than a feeling. Love plays out in and through relationships, specifically how we treat others in our relationships. The Apostle Paul says, "You know love when you see it, because love is patient, kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it's not self-seeking, and is not easily angered, and it doesn't keep any records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil," Paul says, "but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres." The Bible's understanding of love differs from the world's in several ways, including it's unconditional. God's love is enduring and doesn't give up on us when we fall short of his standards. God's love is free. God's love is free, meaning he loves us without conditions, as I said before. It's motivated by others. God's love is motivated by meeting the needs of others, not by self-recognition. And it's concerned with what's good. Christian love is concerned with doing what's good for others, not what they want. God's love, Advent love, is a love that steps into our brokenness and meets us where we are. God sent his Son to dwell among us, to redeem us, to invite us into an eternal relationship with him. Advent reminds us that God's love is deep and transformative. In 1 John 4:9-10 says, "This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. This is love, not that we loved God,
but that he loved us and sent his son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. And then there's the famous John 3:16, which says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life." Based on these verses, we see that Advent love is selfless, it's sacrificial, it's gracious, it's undeserving, and it's compassionate. Advent is a reminder of God's abounding and remarkable love given freely to each of us. When I reflect on Advent love, I am so grateful, and my prayer is to graciously receive it, to embody it as I live out my faith in the world. So, Jonathan, based on biblical or Advent love, what would you say to somebody who felt they were unworthy of receiving God's love?
Well, Daniel, I would say, well, I think you're right. In many ways, we don't deserve his love. The Christmas carol, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing," says it so well. Long lay the world in sin and error pining. And it's saying that the world, that we're far from God, and that we're not anywhere near the kind of people that he called us to be. We're hurried, we're greedy, we're wanting to be first, we're expecting others would bow down to our needs. We're missing the mark. And the hymn says we knew it. We were pining, we were in anguish, we were suffering. So if you feel unworthy of God's love, if you're pining, I would say, yes, you really get it. But that's one truth, but there's another wonderful truth that God's love brings. And it's that even while we were still far from God, not that we loved him, but that amazingly he loved us. He loved us, and he said, I'm sending my love to you. I'm sending my son, and he did it unconditionally, as you've said, freely, motivated by others' needs and concerned with what's good. And we can't earn it, Daniel, by being worthy enough. We can just receive it by grace, with thanks and with worship. The verse you mentioned says, God so loved the world that he gave. God loved us not because we were good, but because of Jesus, who is good and came and lived and died for us. I think that's why Christmas is such a clear demonstration of God's love for us. Jesus came to earth, born of a virgin, leaving all the glory of heaven because of God's love for us. Jesus grew and showed us how to live. He called us to follow him. He died, he rose again, he sent his Spirit to live in us so that we can not only know his love intellectually, but we can know and feel his love personally. You are not worthy of God's love in your own effort, but God declares you are worthy and pours out his generous love on us through faith in Jesus.
Okay, that's fantastic, Jono. So we receive it through grace. We receive God's love through grace. It's not deserving. We just get it. We're just pretty fortunate that we get given God's love. But how can we truly embody God's love and live it out in the world?
Well, I think there's two ways, Daniel, and I think one way this Christmas, I just think, is to think about that. If we've received undeserved love, how can we open our arms, our lives to show undeserved love to others? And we tried this. We don't do it very often, but last Christmas we had someone who was on a student visa. The only person she knew were very few, and we invited her to Christmas. Now, Daniel, it was a great, noble thing to try and do, but I got COVID. And Mandy had to do everything while I was up in the room upstairs. And then while Mandy was driving her back home, she had a car accident as well. So it was a terrible day. But so I suppose opening your arms to those who you wouldn't normally, you might not naturally do to show love isn't always easy, but it's good. This is what God did. He didn't stop at anything. So I think this Christmas, is there someone you can open your arms to more? Maybe someone who doesn't have a meal or might be on their own, or maybe just catching up with someone who you might not normally do. I think that would be demonstrating practically this Advent love that we've been talking about. The other thing I think, Daniel, is over the Christmas break, over the holidays, I'd be thinking about how in the coming year Christ in me can help me cross boundaries too and show this unconditional love to others throughout the year. Is there a habit, is there a practice that I can do that can help those who might not be as well off as I am financially, or who might be those that I would usually, not naturally show love to, and do that in a way. It might be inviting people for dinner that I've never invited before, and it might be doing things like praying for people that I don't normally pray for, and trying to open love in those unconditional ways. So there's some things personally at Christmas, and then right through the year to try and do that.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Daniel, the last thing I would just add is, can you imagine our BUV union of churches, the people that trusting Jesus as Lord in our union, if we all understood this incredible love that God has shown us at Christmas time, right throughout the year and the coming year, how much our churches would be flourishing and how we'd be going forward. I get excited about that. So I hope that happens.
Well, we it should happen. We should happen. We receive God's love, and we need to express God's love in the way we live it out in this world. So thank you for sharing. Appreciate it a great deal. And to our listeners, thanks for listening. My prayer for you is that you would truly experience the blessings of this Advent season, and come into an intimate experience of God's amazing love. Over the next few weeks, we're taking a break for Christmas and January holidays, and we'll kick off our podcast early next year. But until then, may you know the blessings of God, and may you indeed have a blessed Christmas. God bless you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody.